Hello, this is Jamie here from Embodied Badassery. Welcome to my three-part video series on the body of pleasure. So I'm thinking that we could all use more pleasure in our life, and by upping the pleasure that we have in our lives, it fills us up and filters through to every other area and aspect of our life. And I really like to think that pleasure is the fuel of life. So today, the first thing that I'd like to share with you is a centering practice, and I call it the 5 P's of pleasure. And this is one that I created just specially for you. And what I mean by centering practice is a way to manage our state. So centering practices for me are a state management technique. And by practicing these 5 P's of pleasure, we can begin wiring pleasure back into our bodies. And by wiring this back into our bodies, it more easily becomes a default setting for us. We'll find it more easy to tap into this state of pleasure. Okay, so the 5 P's of pleasure. The first P is pause. The second P is posture. The third P is peripheral vision. The fourth P is pleasure. And the fifth P is pleasing. So what do I mean by all of these? Okay, so get yourself comfortable. You can stand, you can sit, wherever you are right now, and you can do the 5 P's with me. Okay, so the first P, pause. Stop. Stop doing whatever it is that you're doing. And in this pause, notice how you're breathing. The second P, posture. Notice how your feet are in contact with the ground. Notice how if you're sat, notice how your bum is in contact with whatever surface you're sitting on. Notice the length of your spine. Notice how the jaw is, or how soft the lips are. Notice how soft the belly is. So really paying attention to your posture. The third P, peripheral. Can you open your peripheral vision to take in your whole surrounding? Can you see and sense all that's around you? Now the fourth P, pleasure. Can you find one tiny spot of pleasure somewhere in your body, anywhere in your body? Whether it's the way that your hair is touching your forehead feels nice, or the way the tongue feels in the mouth, or even, how the lips are touching, how your skin feels, anything. It could even be internal, like I feel a warm sensation in my chest. Find that place of pleasure and dial into it. No matter how tiny it is, dial into that place and really feel it. And then once you've felt that place of pleasure, let's go to the fifth P, pleasing. How can you please that pleasure? How can you give yourself 10% more pleasure? And it can be tiny. It could be simply have a sip of water, and that's going to make my tongue feel better in my mouth. It could be focusing on that place and asking that place of pleasure to grow. So can you focus on that pleasure and find a way to please it? So those are your 5 P's of pleasure. So pausing, breathing, noticing your posture, noticing the body, opening your peripheral vision, finding a place of pleasure, and finding a way if you can please yourself a little bit more in that state of pleasure. Now this pleasure practice, the centering practice, doesn't have to take more than 10 seconds. You can take as long as you like. However, if you really want to start rewiring your body and allowing pleasure to be a more default setting in your body, then what I recommend that you do is you find a way to practice the 5 P's at least 5 times a day for 30 seconds. So you can tie this to something that you already do. So maybe every time you switch on the kettle, you practice your 5 Ps. Or maybe every time you go to the bathroom, you practice your 5 Ps. Or what I like to do is I set timers in my phone to go off at 5 times during the day when I know that I will actually be able to stop. And I'll be able to take that 30 seconds. And so each time that timer goes off, I know it's my time for my pleasure practice. So please do let me know how you get on with your 5 Ps of pleasure. I look forward to hearing how it goes, and stay tuned for the next video on pleasure, where we're going to do some juicy breathing. I know that might not sound pleasurable, however, this is juicy. So I'll see you all on the flip side. Take care and embody that pleasure.